Focus on the bigger picture. Welcome to Ben's Business Podcast, episode number 30. And this week I want to talk about goals, also known for me as the things that excite me. The definition of goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort. It's also an aim or desired result that you have within your life. So again, I'll go back to what goals mean to me, and I've kind of settled on that idea that how to set goals for anyone who hasn't got any definite goals is to think about the things that excite you. And I heard that in the 4-Hour Work Week from Tim Ferriss, and I thought that was a great way to explain how to kind of look at goals, things that excite you. And if you start from there and get that list down from just that question alone, focus on what excites you. So ask yourself that question, what excites me? Get that down. Another definition I've kind of settled on with goals is definite major purpose. And I got that from Think and Grow Rich, talking about the stories about Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie was a very successful man, moved from Scotland just along the road from me at my doorstep from Dunfermline, and he went over to America and set up this, established a massive steel business and became a very wealthy, successful man. And what he had was a definite major purpose that Napoleon Hill described. So if we break down what a definite major purpose is first, also known as goals. Definite, that's you've decided on something. Definition, you're not going to change from that. That's a decision for your life. It's a very big decision to make, so you take your time on that one. But once you decide that, I think it's very important to go for it with all your might. Major, if we think of that, is big. It's a very big, large 10x goal of just your average small goals that some people might have, or targets. It's thinking much more long term, maybe 10 years or 20 years ahead. It's a difficult one to come up with, but get that definition of a much bigger goal. Don't just set small goals, set the large goals that have a bigger impact on you. The purpose part of it, definite major purpose. Purpose is your calling, the thing that excites you, your inner child that tells you to do things, and those childhood dreams. The ones you should go for, the ones you feel you should go for when you're maybe stuck on a computer at a job you hate and this calling is there. That's your purpose. So go after that and get these definite major purpose in place. Going back to definite, that's defining what it is as well. This whole thing, a definite major purpose has to be defined into something. And as I've kind of done a talk around this about definite major purposes at Toastmasters, which is actually on YouTube that you could search for. And it's the idea of plant a watermelon seed, I used as an example. If you put a watermelon seed into the ground, you're going to grow a watermelon. If you put a carrot seed in the ground, you're going to end up with a carrot. And the same happens for your materialistic or any other outer goals or purposes that you set. If you define them to the T, not just a fast car, a large house, if that's a materialistic thing, or I want to help a few people, you set a number on these things, or you set that it's a Lamborghini with leather seats and a certain speed that it goes, or whatever it is. And for example, I'm crazy about getting a castle, so it can be something that big, like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about the jets, and go for something more defined, which will actually pull you in that direction. So that's my kind of definition of what I would consider, settle on what a goal is. Goals are a bit of a boring word, so think about definite major purposes when you're thinking about goals or things that excite you and something big. Then we need to, once we have this definite major purpose, we need to have clarity around it. So the clarity part comes when you have it in your subconscious. And again, that was coming from Think and Grow Rich, where we have such a desire that we think about it every day. It's something that's a mission we're on all the time. We're always thinking about it. And don't think people spend enough time on this long major like 20-year goal or 10-year goal or 5-year goal, they don't spend enough time on these important life goals as they do maybe planning a list of things they want to buy at the supermarket or down the high street or something. Some people seem to spend more time doing that than they actually do on these important life goals. So if you think about how crazy that is, think about your goals more. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And think about them daily. So what I do is actually probably look at my goals maybe 4 or 5 times a day. You can keep them on your phone, or you keep them somewhere that you go regularly. So if you go to the bathroom regularly, I'm sure most of us do, sit your goals in there and read them just every time. And that's a good way to keep it in the subconscious, so that you're always thinking about that. You're going in there, you think about your goal. What I also do is I write it down every morning. I write my large 20-year goals or 10-year goals, and I kind of reverse engineer from there. And then I can look at so I write that down. I then write my sort of 1 month or 2 month targets, even 6 month targets. And these are smaller goals, but they all align with those bigger goals. And then you can break that down to your to-do list, or as Richard Moore taught me, my when to-do list. So things that you're going to do every minute of the day. So you plan it out instead of just a to-do list. You put your most important task at the first, like eat that frog, and a when to-do list. So you break that down from the big 20-year goal or large definite major purpose, and break it down to targets, and then down to other parts of what you're going to do in that specific day in the current moment. Keeping it conscious and in the subconscious and having clarity over your goals is so important, because what can also happen is opportunities come up. Opportunities like maybe getting a job. It's going to pay you more than running your own business, or starting a business when you're doing really well in your job and going to where you want to go financially or in terms of freedom. So that's really important as well. So I think it was Rohn that said, if you don't create a plan for your own life, chances are you'll end up in someone else's life plan. And guess what they've got planned for you? Not much. So think about it like that as well. When you fall into, work out if you're in someone else's plan right now. The person at the top is the only person that wins, I've found. So make sure that you've got your goals. If you're in someone else's plan, you're still aligned with your own goals, or get out them and create your definite major purposes and work from that part of that clarity of that goal. It also keeps you so positive when you have that clarity over your definite major purposes or your goals. What will happen is, in the small failures or the low days, we all have those low days, what you can do is bounce back very quickly by reviewing these goals. So there you have them somewhere in the house, at your work, and you review them that 4 times a day if you want to go to that level, and write them down every day. Writing them down actually etches them in the mind a wee bit more firmly, rather than just saying them out loud or reading them. So make sure that you're actually writing them down as well, because you have to think about it. You kind of say it when you're writing it, so you're kind of putting it through your mind a lot of times when you're writing it down, which is a slightly bit better than the tip out of Think and Grow Rich about just reading your 10-year major purpose every day and night. So it definitely gets you out of, when you're thinking about that and focusing on that bigger picture, you can definitely get out of the small failures that you're currently having just now in that current moment, the current tasks that are laborious that you can't be bothered working on. You can quickly get out of that state and start to come from a level of the bigger picture, and the much bigger picture, and the whatever the size of the goal is. But that's why the goal has to be so large that those small bad days become good days when you review the goals. So my kind of action to you to take from the back of this, and the main lesson I want you to get away, is don't just set goals, focus on what excites you, and set definite major purposes. Thank you. If anyone's got any questions, just post them in the comments below if you're watching the replay or if you're listening on the podcast. I'm happy to answer your questions next time.